Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to Game 26 of the Ducks on the Pond podcast, the official baseball podcast of Sauce on the Side. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the producer, Leighton Pip Shavington.
We are past the speed bump.
And sitting in today, our guest host, Lex Glasgow.
But the speed bump's not over for some, Leighton.
Dippers, as always, be sure to listen to our show today and on Mondays, the Mothership Show with Sauce on the Side. Listen to Knuckle Sandwich every Thursday. Shackelford's out there grinding, giving you the MMA betting odds, giving you the picks, telling you how to win some cash. And if you like money, also listen on Fridays where we have the Fantasy 15 every Friday telling you how to make your DFS lineups and win that coin. And yesterday we had a very, very good Food for Thought episode, which drops every Saturday morning with Fletch and Hartley. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Saucy Pod. Also, 5 stars, lock us in, subscribe, rate, do all that fun stuff on Spotify and iTunes. Guys, we have a very, very jam-packed show for you today. We have exactly 7 days until the MLB season is over, so we're going to hand out some awards. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these playoff races that are coming down to the wire, and we'll even tell you if the season ended right now. But before we get to any of that, Leighton C., producer, you know what to do.
Hey, Ducks on the Pond here, kid. Ducks on the Pond. Let's go now, baby. Drive 'em in. Welcome to Ducks on the Pond.
A Sauce on the Side production. Alright guys, so I talked about it a little bit. We are exactly 7 days away from the end of the MLB regular season. Next week, we'll be previewing the playoffs. But let's go ahead and hand out some awards. And we'll start it off hot. We'll go through MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. And we'll start off with maybe the most important award, the MVP. And guys, who do you have for your AL MVP?
Well, I'll talk about this a whole lot on the show on Monday that it should be Mookie Betts. There are reasons why. But we made the argument for J. Martinez, without him, we won 103 games. It's like an MVP award. But again, with Mookie Betts here, he had the highest average, most in the American League. Overall, to be the best player. Jared came on here and brought in some WAR stat that I don't follow WAR, but people do. He might be having the best season for a right fielder ever. But Mike fucking Trout is going to go ahead and hit 38 home runs now. And just he played 2 or 3 more this week, get to 40 or 41, and win that award.
I can see Mike Trout winning it. The baseball writers are in love with him. They love the WAR stat. I mean, I think at this point between him and Mookie Betts, it comes down to Mookie Betts is in the playoffs and Mike Trout is not. Mike Trout missed a good portion of the season. I think they're going to give the Angels an award and give Ohtani the Rookie of the Year. I don't see them going to Mike Trout. The argument for JD Martinez, plays DH. DH, my opinion, cannot win MVP because he doesn't play defense.
See, then I feel like if that's the way you look at it, I think that there should be like DH to have their own like specific award.
No, they got Silver Slugger.
The Silver Slugger, but that's for every single. That's for
position.
Yeah. Every single position.
Yeah.
Like the DH needs their own thing then, because that drives me crazy. Because why have them in the contention to win it if they don't have a chance? It's kind of like the way the NFL's went now with like the MVP award, but all you do is hand it to a quarterback every season.
How about NFL, they have MVP, but they also have Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. They have Gold Gloves, they have Silver Sluggers. Why not just hand out a Defensive Player of the Year and hand out a Offensive Player of the Year, and then the DH can win that Offensive Player of the Year?
See, I think I would like that more if they would just add something else. That's all we need is another award, though. But JD Martinez, I feel like if he can't win this award, no DH can ever win this award.
I agree. I mean, David Ortiz had a monster year. When was it? Last year he played? Had an amazing year, didn't win the award.
Yeah, but as a matter of fact, David Ortiz is the last DH player since 2005 to have a season with the same number of all the numbers J. Martinez has. He only 2005 didn't win the MVP award.
Exactly.
So DH won't win the MVP award.
So the award, I'm giving it to Mookie, but I can definitely see Mike Trout sneaking in there and winning that award last second.
Yeah, see, I would give it to Mookie too. I don't look at your team being bad as a knock against you to win the award, so I don't think you not being in the playoffs can take you out of contention of winning the award. But if there's a reasonable comparison between two players, you have to go with the guy who got his team into the postseason. So that's why I would go with Mookie. We talked about it, how I would even have J.D. Martinez above Mike Trout in this situation. I would have him as my second because I think the DH should be valued just like every other position. But the only reason I would give it to Mookie over J.D. is not just because he's a run-of-the-mill right fielder defensively. It's because he's a great defensive right fielder. And, you add in the fact that he's just as good defensively as he is offensively, maybe even better. I mean, you can make that argument. So you have to go with Mookie Betts in this situation. And in fact, if they give it to Mike Trout, I'm going to be pretty bummed. Because it would just kind of be, yeah, we know Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, so we're going to give him the award, even though he didn't have the best season.
It'd just be adding the fuel to the war fire, basically.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. I mean, you kind of... Crossing sports, I mean, baseball is completely different, but we all know Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. We all know LeBron James is the best player in basketball. LeBron doesn't win MVP every year. Mike Trout shouldn't just win the MVP every year because he's the best player in baseball.
Right. That's perfect. And that is perfect because, at the end of both of their careers, you could make the argument that both these guys could be the best player of all time. But that doesn't mean they should win the award every single year because they might not have the best seasons. So, guys, we'll go to the NL. I gave my opinion last week on the Mothership show. I'll throw in some more little nuggets for you on that. Leighton, has your opinion changed on Javier Baez?
No, Javier Baez. And actually, after we found the stat we found this morning about Javier Baez, it's even more Javi. Do you have that stat wrote down?
Yeah, I do. So, this is historically over baseball's entirety since they've been following stats, which has been for a billion years, basically, because baseball stats come out of nowhere, even in like the 1800s. So guys who have hit at least 34 home runs, 9 triples, 110 RBIs, 20 steals, and hit 290 at least. It's only happened 7 times in MLB history. 7 seasons total. 2 of those were Willie Mays. 1 of them was Mickey Mantle. And I think that alone, if you look at that, that speaks volumes to what Javi's done, especially whenever you look at Javi in the field. He separates himself from basically everybody else in this category. He's played 700 innings at second base, 142 innings at third base, and 380 innings at shortstop. And he's even played an inning at first base. So the guy never gets to see the ball come off the bat at the same angle. He's moving all over the field, basically playing wherever the team needs him, and he's going to lead his team to a division title. Hopefully. We'll say hopefully. But even getting put all over the field, he only has 14 errors. Andrelton Simmons has 10 errors, and Andrelton Simmons is considered the best fielder in all of MLB, and he lines up in the same spot every single week. So if you take the totality of the baseball player, he's one of the best in the base pass, one of the best in the field, and arguably the best at the plate this season, and he's 1 home run away from leading 2 of the legs of the Triple Crown. I think Javi Baez has to be your MVP. And second would obviously be Christian Yelich, in my opinion, because he's just been absolutely on fire. Lex, who do you have?
It's going to kill my fandom, but yes, Javier Baez is the National League MVP. I know I've argued for Matt Carpenter before, but that's just, we're throwing arguments out there, and Matt Carpenter's my guy as a Cardinal fan. But Javier Baez has done everything to get his team into the playoffs, win the division. He's been the most consistent guy in the National League all season. Christian Yelich has had a hell of a second half. He had an okay first half, but second half he's really came on fire. But if you look at the totality of how it's been all season, from start to finish, Javier Baez has been the MVP of the National League.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we had a clean sweep there. Christian Yelich, though, man, if he would have done anything more in the first half, like anything more in the first half, he would probably be your MVP. The guy's been phenomenal. I think he leads almost every single statistic since the All-Star break. But unfortunately for him, Javi Baez has just done it all season. So, guys, we'll go to the Cy Young Award, and we'll start off in the first with the AL. Where are we looking for Cy Young in the AL?
Well, much I hate to say it, the Bulls not be going to Chris Sale this season because they really should. Before he got hurt, I mean, yeah, he only actually had 1.75 ERA, ton of strikeouts. He got hurt, missed a month of the season. But Blake Snell playing Tampa Bay. I don't have a bad team. Actually, not a bad team. They have 86
They're better
wins.
than the Indians.
They have more wins than Indian does. He has 20 wins, 1.97 ERA. Basically, just been absolutely automatic over the past month and a half, 2 months. And recency plays a huge role in the Cy Young we've seen in the past. So I'm going to go with Blake Snell over the American League Cy Young Award.
Let it go on record before this show. Leighton said individual awards don't matter, and he
They
does
don't.
not care if Chris Sale wins the award, and he just said he's going to hate to admit that Chris Sale's not going to win the award.
Yes.
They don't matter.
Blake Snell is going to win that award. He's 20-5 on the season with a 1.9 ERA. He's got 200 strikeouts, and he's got a WHIP below 1. He has ran away with this award playing for a lesser team. If he would have been playing on the Red Sox this season,
He had almost 30 wins.
30 wins.
He'd have 30 wins, and there wouldn't even be a question right now.
Dude,
who's
if
winning
he
thing.
pitched on days that Porcello gets to pitch, where they get like this, I don't know what it is, but you put Rick Porcello in to pitch, your team's going to score 30 runs.
I think because they know they have to score.
If they know they have to
the
score,
game.
yeah.
No.
If only they knew the same when Drew Pomeranz comes in to pitch late.
Drew Pomeranz.
But I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I think it's obvious that it is Chris Sale, Blake Snell. Just for, I mean, dude, he has a sub 2 ERA in the AL. Like, that is ridiculous. And it's going to hold. He has over 20 wins. He has a quarter of their wins almost. I mean, he nearly has a quarter of their wins. That's unreal. Blake Snell, obvious Cy Young award winner this season, and I think the NL should be the same. So, guys, where are you leaning there?
I'm going to go with Jacob deGrom for the Mets. 1.77 ERA, 27 quality starts, which is the most by a pitcher in Major League history. I know his team's bad, but, I mean, he's 9-9. The 1.77 ERA. It's not his fault he only had 9 wins.
DeGrom deserves it, but 9 wins, man.
He can't help that.
I know he can't help that, but you have to take into consideration that I'm not the one voting on this. We're not the ones voting on it. We're giving out who we think they should. The MLB writers, they take that into such a consideration for some reason that wins are a big stat.
Dude, you know what I feel like this is for Jacob deGrom? I mean, this is no joke. I feel like his season this year, if we're going to cross-compare it to a sport, I feel like this would have been the first 6,000-yard passing we've ever seen. And if you compare it, this season has been so dominant, it would be like 6,000 passing yards in the NFL. And if your team goes 8-8, that's not your fault.
Yeah, it's almost like Matthew Stafford. Gets to take 5,000 yards a season, but the Lions are going to go 7-9.
Whoa. Matt Stafford has a terrible record against winning teams.
Yeah.
And Leighton, it's Pad Stafford. Or what? Pad Statford, whatever he is. DeGrom's the Cy Young winner. Give it to him. Throw out the wins. Give him the Cy Young. Throw that out.
3 or less runs in 28 straight starts. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say. And I think that's still active, correct?
Yeah, no. Other than I said most consistent season, I meant consecutive quality starts. He's going to at least one more start this season.
Yes, 23 consecutive starts, and if the season kept going, he would still add on to that number. He's just been unhittable, and nothing has summed up his season more than this. I was watching him pitch one night. I believe he was playing the Giants, and his team hadn't scored a run, believe it or not, through like 5 innings. He had been pitching phenomenal. Gave up 2 hits back to back. One of them was just like a little like bloop, just found the perfect gap. And as soon as they scored, he started screaming. He started yelling like he was mad because he knew he just picked up another loss on the season. And all he did was give up 1 run over 5 innings, and I'm pretty sure he lost that game. So it's obviously Jacob deGrom. I don't know what more to say. 28 straight games of 3 or less runs and 23 consecutive quality starts. That's unbelievable. Any other team. He could have even been on the Orioles, and I feel like his record would be better. I feel like
the Orioles they have 50 wins yet?
Yeah, but dude, every single time, I would like to know the average runs that they scored in deGrom's starts. because I feel like it was like less than 2.
I'll try to figure it out for you.
Yeah, try to find that stat for us because I feel like it is unbelievably low. I would like to know the average of what they scored because I feel like even the Orioles would be able to at least give him better run support than that because I feel like the Orioles lose a lot just because they don't. I mean, yes, they are bad offensively, but their pitching's also terrible. They don't have a Jacob deGrom. Nobody does. So, guys, we'll look at Rookie of the Year. First in the AL. I think we're all going to be on board with our boy. But, Leighton, where are you going?
Somebody's again on Monday. Andrew Hall from the Yankees had a great season. We have to show Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he batted 285 with 20 home, 55 RBIs. And then on the mound, he pitched 51.2 innings. He had 4-2. He got 19 earned runs, and he had 63 strikeouts. This is like a generational player. I know he missed some time, but it has to show Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, dude, like he pitched 51 innings, only 51 innings. I will say that. But his strikeout per 9 was up there with Justin Verlander.
Yeah, his triple 9 is 11.
Yeah, that's up there with Justin Verlander. So if you're mentioning anything pitching-wise with Justin Verlander, and on top of that you hit 20 home runs, you automatically get whatever award you are eligible for. I know he can't win the MVP because, he obviously doesn't have the numbers like Mookie Betts. Didn't play the full season. I think that if he would have kept on pace for what he was doing at the plate, pitching, I think he would win the MVP just due to the shiny new toy effect. But I think this is a landslide. I think Shohei Ohtani has to be your Rookie of the Year. Lex, who are you leaning towards for your Rookie of the Year vote?
I'm going to Ohtani, too. I mean, we've had a clean sweep the entire thing. The two guys with the Yankees, Torres and Andujar, I could see them winning it. I mean, I wouldn't just be totally mind blown if one of those guys sneak in and win the award. They've had great seasons for rookies, and the Yankees are right in the middle of the playoff hunt. And without those two there, they probably wouldn't be in the middle of the playoff hunt. It'd be safe to say.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. So we basically had a clean sweep. I'll be surprised if we keep the clean sweep going. But I think it's pretty obvious who should win the awards this year. I really do.
I'm with you.
So Rookie of the Year, NL, who do we have?
And now I'm going to go with Robert Acuna. Juan Soto from Nationals has been really hot lately, making all kind of things, all kinds of noise. But Acuna, man, 290, 26 home runs now, 15 steals, 365 OBP. He's having a great season for a player who started in AAA, which was just asinine to begin with. Ronald Acuna has to be the National Rookie of the Year. I don't care how hot Soto's been the past 2 months.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the totality of their seasons, they're pretty similar. I mean, you can give the edge to these guys. Like I know that Juan Soto's been getting on base at like a 400 clip. It's been phenomenal. But I mean, Ronald Acuna is just right behind him at 365. I know it's no 400 benchmark, but it is still really good. And he does things that Soto doesn't do. I know steals are kind of a lost stat at this point of the baseball outlook, but Ronald Acuna is better on the base paths, and their seasons have almost been identical. The only difference is that one guy is at the top of his division, and he's been one of the lead dogs to do it, and the other team's being left out of the playoffs. I don't think that being left out of the playoffs can hurt your ability to win an award, but being in the playoffs can help you. And I think for that simple fact alone, and that basically everything else is even, I'm going to have to go with Ronald Acuna as well. Lex, are you making it a clean sweep?
This one is actually, out of all the awards, this is the closest one.
This is the toughest one.
This is the toughest one. It's Rookie of the Year, so wins, playoffs, that gets thrown completely out. MVP is a little different when it comes to that kind of thing, and Cy Young. Rookie of the Year, I see the argument for Acuna, and I see the argument for Juan Soto. They're both laying there. WAR favors Acuna, which it probably should, being on the better team. Okay, but everything else is just right there right there in front of you. The Soto's hitting, about the same, but he's getting on base 40% better, or not 40 points better. But
this is tough.
It's tough.
This one's unbelievably tough because you have to pick what's most valuable to you, because they're both almost identical. Mm-hmm. Like their stats are almost identical. Like games played, plate appearances, everything is almost similar.
I'm going to give it to Soto just so we don't have a clean sweep again. I think he's probably maybe a little more deserving because he's kind of kept the Nationals afloat in the middle of all this, just chaos that they're in the middle of.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're looking for like a rookie of the year and you like Soto, one thing you can kind of hang your hat on, he passed Ken Griffey Jr. for the most home runs by a teenager. That if you're mentioning anything hitting wise or anything with baseball with Ken Griffey Jr., you are obviously doing something right. I'm glad we don't have a clean sweep on everything else because I think we're probably going to do the same with the managers of the year. We'll start off first with the AL. I'll let Leighton kind of hang his hat and pat himself on the back. Who do you like to be the AL manager of the year?
But really, Jake, you're the one who called this beginning of the season.
Oh, yeah.
I picked AJ Hinch because while I knew the Red Sox would be better than I didn't think they'd win, I didn't think they'd go in 105 games. Back to the Alex Cora. Like, when you look at what he's done and put his on Philly, he came in. From day one, he just still this team to win the World Series. He hadn't let us judge in every loss we've had. He hasn't really wins too much. The whole team's driving the ball better without letting pitchers go over the plate, being more aggressive with running the bases. Everything seems happy right now in Boston, and I could not be happier that Alex Cora my manager or anybody else.
I agree, Alex Cora. It's hard to. There's no really feel-good story in the American League. It's all the same teams it was last year that are right there at the top.
It's just one team's going to win 15 more games.
Yeah, one team's going to win 15 more games, and so obviously you're probably going to give that guy the manager of the year. So Cora's definitely the manager of the year.
Yeah, and the way I look at the way, Alex Cora's done things, it's like, yes, you can say that this is his first season as a manager. Yes, you can talk about all this other stuff. But, even if the Red Sox were a 110 wins team last year and he went out there and did exactly what they did the year prior, you can't knock him for that. And I mean, anytime you win 105 games, you should probably be the manager of the year, and they're even going to add on to the 105 wins. So you look at it, Mookie Betts has been in and out of the lineup. Chris Sale missed a good portion of the season, and he's still finding ways to win. Alex Cora is by far the manager of the year in the AL, and I think that if he doesn't win the award, I think it'll probably be one of the bigger slaps in the face of all the awards handed out this season. So guys, we'll head to the NL. Who's your NL manager of the year?
I think this one's obvious. It's Brian Snitker. Last year, the Braves finished 25 games out of first place. This year, they just clinched the division yesterday. Think about that. 25 games to clinching the division in a year. A lot of that's coming around. The pitching's developed a little better. Acuna coming onto the scene has helped them a lot. But Snitker's been there at the helm since the end of 2016, all of last year. He's been there through the rebuild. He's kind of earned his badge here. He deserves this award.
Yeah, absolutely. Has to be Snitker. Gabe Kepler, a month ago, we were a big push for it, but it totally fell off the map. Braves won the division. No one thought the team would be this good except for our boy Cappy, but it has to be Snitker.
Yeah, I agree that it has to be Snitker, and I think it has to be Snitker by a landslide. So, you had even mentioned, that the only thing that had changed was that they had Ronald Acuna, and, you can even make the argument that, Ozzie Albies was a huge part of this too, with basically Freddie Freeman leading the charge. So, you're virtually relying on two rookies to be your lead dogs in the lineup. I know Albies won't qualify as a rookie because he did play 57 games last season, but in my eyes, that's as much as a rookie as you can be. I mean, only playing 50 games last year and now having to be one of the guys that you rely on day in and day out, and he's able to get those guys to perform at a high level every single night, and he's going from, like you said, 25 games out to winning the division with a week left. Has to be Brian Snitker, and I think this is going to be a landslide, and it should be. The guy's been doing a phenomenal job. I think the only argument you can make is if the Brewers do win the division, you could maybe argue for Craig Counsell, but even then, I think Snitker, with what he's done, with such young talent, it's been phenomenal.
Before we move on, you told me to find how much run support DeGrom got in his starts. I couldn't find what he'd been in the game, but in games he's played the method average 3.54 runs per game. Just to know what that means, the Marlins have the fewest runs per game in 5.6 or 3.6, and on average it takes about 4.5 runs to have a winning record. So they're a whole run away from having a winning record, and actually worse than the worst team in the major leagues when he pitches.
Holy smokes. That is crazy. Great stat, dude. And we're talking about a guy who has a sub-2 ERA, and he can't, I mean, he's not going out there throwing 9 innings every single day. Mm-hmm. And you know the bullpen's trash. I mean, they had one guy in the bullpen with Familia, and they traded him. So, good stats.
Thank you.
Leighton C's research is better than yours. So, guys, with 7 days left in the season, the AL playoffs are all but wrapped up. Only the seeding is kind of left to be decided. But the NL, still very, very interesting. A lot of good teams in the NL. The NL East is wrapped up. Braves won the division, obviously, like we said with Snitker. But the Dodgers, they lead the NL West and don't play the Rockies again this season. So, that the NL West, obviously, up for grabs. Unfortunately, we don't get that late season series with the Dodgers and the Rockies like in the last week. But the most interesting team, and probably the team that decides their own fate more so than any other team in the NL, is the Cardinals. They have 3-game series against the Brewers and the Cubs to close out the season. Talk about a backloaded schedule. How do you think this NL playoff picture is going to shake out?
Cardinals got a tough road. You know, they need to at least win each series to ensure that they are in the playoffs. You know, I looked at the Rockies schedule the other day. The Rockies have a pretty easy series or two here at the end. I mean,
I think they get the Padres to wrap up the season.
Yeah. You know,
They have 30 Nationals left.
Yeah, so, I mean, both teams that don't really have anything to play for at this point in the season. You know, it's just going to come out to, are they going to face Scherzer? Are they going to face Nola? Strasburg, Nola. You know, it's going to come down to that. But I don't see those teams stretching their guys out like that, you know. That's probably going to be facing Johnny Holstaff between those two teams. But the Cardinals, it's right there in front of them. Can they take it? A young team. You know, they've got veteran leadership with Yachty and Wainwright. I'm nervous as a Cardinal
I can
fan.
tell you're nervous.
Yeah, no, I know. You're saying all, but you're saying
nervous.
Everything except for holy shit. I'm almost on the panic button.
I'm not on the panic button because I didn't think they'd be in this situation at all this year. So I kind of feel like we're kind of playing with the house money a little bit.
Yeah.
If we get in, we're sneaking in.
Listen, look, it could be way worse for you guys. You guys could be playing like, I don't know, the Pirates and the Reds, teams that aren't ahead of you in the division, and these games won't directly impact the playoffs.
I think the Rockies are going to win the NLS.
You think
I'm staying on that.
Win that?
I think they are.
I think the Dodgers have got that locked up.
I think the Dodgers they don't play too good right now. Back to Cardinals though. The Cardinals, they control the National League. If they win out, they could win the division still. Will they win the division? Probably not, because they have to lose 2 out of 3 for the series. But the Cardinals can win the wild card. They just have to win, 4 out of 6 games. You got to win the series against the Brewers.
Well,
you got to win that series.
That's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key. Beating the Brewers, you know.
If
we could take two of those, I feel perfectly fine about the Cardinals getting to the playoffs. We just got to hope that the Rockies might lose a game or two.
But here's the thing. If the Cardinals sweep the Brewers, which the series is in St. Louis, and we know the salsa magic, we know the squirrels, like all that shit for the Cardinals that they've done historically, is going to be in play. So you have to respect that a little bit.
Oh, if you're the Brewers, you don't want to come to St. Louis and play a one-game playoff.
No, you don't. But if the Cardinals sweep that series against the Brewers, they're in first place, the wild card. Mm-hmm. They're in first place. So I think this is going to be really fun to watch down the stretch. I don't know what it is, but I had the Rockies in the playoffs. I don't think I'm going to come off that yet. The Dodgers are playing like one of the best teams in baseball, though, which is really scary if you are in the NL. But I really like how soft their schedule is down this stretch. You know, like they have to play the Phillies, who've been a dumpster fire the last month and a half. And I think another series is the Nats. And the Nats have been a dumpster fire basically all season. So I think that the Rockies are going to be able to sneak in. I think the Cardinals are actually going to win that series against the Brewers. Whether or not it's going to be 3 games or 2 games, it's going to narrow that lead down to maybe a half a game or maybe pull them within a game. It's going to be very, very close there. I think the Cardinals are almost dead set to make the playoffs, though. I think I'm ready to pencil them in because I like them better in a 3-game set against the Brewers than I like the Brewers.
It's tough for me. I think the Rockies are a better team than the Cardinals, but the Cardinals' schedule lines up to where if they win, if they go 3-3 last 6 games, they'd be in the playoffs.
Absolutely, but
and the Rockies can't do that.
But here's another thing: if the Cardinals go out there and they just house the Brewers and the Cubs continue to win, that last 3-game set against the Cubs, do you think they're going to be getting all the Cubs talent?
No, probably not.
I think
the last 2 games.
I do think that, because I remember a couple years ago when the Cardinals missed the playoffs by 1 game. At the very end of the season, they played the Cubs, and Madden said, "We're going to play our guys out of respect for the other teams that are in the wild card chase." So, and the Cubs are still right there trying to win the division. So I don't see them taking those guys out at the very end at all.
But if the Cardinals go out there and beat the Brewers, and the Cubs, are able to continue to win up until that point, they're going to have that division locked up at that point of the season. And no matter what the Cardinals do, I think that I don't think it's going to be like a whole, basically everybody take a day off. I think he's going to take the guys that still need hacks at this point of the season to still take their hacks. But I think Madden's going to be smart about it, and he's going to rest guys as they need it, and they might not see the whole onslaught of the Cubs offense. So I think that if the Cardinals can do themselves the biggest favor of all, and that is helping the Cubs clinch the division before they head to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, they should. The Cubs have to win. The Cubs in the best spot possible because they've got to go 2-4, 3-3, win the division.
Yeah.
The magic number I think is 2 right now. I'm trying to find it here. Magic number is 2 for the Cubs. So they got to win 2 or the Brewers lose 2 and they're in.
Yeah. And the Cardinals can help them. The Cardinals can help that happen. So I'm really interested to see how this shapes up. I think that last series with Chicago, whether it be deciding the Cubs get a wild card spot or the division, or the Cardinals get a wild card spot, it's all going to come down to that series. Something will be decided at that point. But guys, we'll go ahead and hit the Ohtani watch. The Saucy Curse came back. Ohtani this week only hit .222, 1 home run, but he struck out 7 times. Do you think that this is going to affect his Rookie of the Year campaign?
No, not at this point.
Too late in the season for that to be affecting his. I think he's deadlocked. I mean, it's one bad week. Rookies have bad weeks. Regular players have bad weeks. MVPs have bad weeks. It happens.
Yeah, I agree. So in place of the fallacies this week, we're actually going to get to some trivia. Leighton C. loves doing this part of the show. He looks up these ridiculous baseball stats, throws them at us, and Lex and I are left to determine what the answer is.
So for trivia this time around, basically, season's over, so we went back and found some stats or some seasons guys are having that are notable, knows what we're talking about, and I found 2 that are really, really good. Joey Gallo this season, my favorite player in baseball, is batting .210 with 38 home runs. That's happened twice where players have 38 or more home runs and batted .210 or worse.
Aaron Boone.
Chris Davis.
Can you name the other 2 occurrences?
Is Aaron Boone one?
I'll give you a hint. They both happened since 2010.
Ooh.
Is Adam Dunn one?
Adam Dunn is one.
That was actually going to be my second guess. I love that one.
2012, he hit 41 home runs and batted .204. And the other player?
Was it Chris Davis?
Chris Davis? Lex?
You like how I did that with a broad stroke? I got 2 players out of there with 1.
No answer from Lex. It was actually Joey Gallo last season.
Joey Gallo.
He hit 41 and batted .201. So, consistency on Joey Gallo's part.
So the question for next year, can Joey Gallo repeat?
Three-peat.
Next question, and this one is honestly an insane season, but Alex Bregman has 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 50 doubles.
Wow.
How many times do you think that's been done in NBA history? It's not many.
I'm going to say about 13 times.
All the way back to 1871.
I'm going to say probably 10 times.
The answer is 0. No player has ever had 30 home runs,
Wow.
100 RBIs, and 50 doubles in a season.
So Alex Bregman.
Do you know what he's hitting on the season?
285, I believe.
So
Wow.
Bregman's the MVP, is what you just told me. He's done
Alex
something
Bregman
nobody's ever
has
done.
Alex Bregman had a very compelling case to be MVP if some stat heads really want to get into it.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Oh, that's crazy, honestly. Like, if you have to think about that.
Okay, maybe, Billy May might have done that one year. Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron. Nope.
Yeah, the guys I instantly went to were like Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays. Those were like the guys. I'm like, okay, they probably did it a handful of times just between the 2, and then basically crapshoot for the rest of it. So, guys, if the season ended right now, which we're just a week away, the Red Sox have clinched the AL East, and then in the AL Central, the Indians have clinched the AL West. The Astros have clinched a playoff spot, but they have not clinched the division yet. And your wild card teams, Yankees and Athletics, both have clinched playoff spots, but they have not clinched a wild. They have not been. The Yankees are dead set in the wild card spot. They could go from wild card 1 to wild card 2, vice versa for the Astros and for the Athletics, and the Athletics can still technically win the division. Is this what is going to stand?
I think this is set. That Athletics gonna make it interesting, but Yankees play the Orioles and then they play us. Actually, did they play us again? I'm not sure who we're gonna play in that last series. We'll play our good guys at least one time, but I think this is how it's gonna shake out.
This is how it's shaken out. How we've said it's going to shake out for the past 2 months. So
Past 2-3 months.
Yeah, this is been set in stone for a while. I don't see anything changing.
When the Yankees were 10 games up for the wild card spot, I said that the wild card game would not be in Yankee Stadium. I'm staying on it. Athletics, they haven't moved at all since last week. They've been a game and a half back the whole entire time. I think that they are going to nip up and catch the Yankees. I think so. I don't know who leads the season series because that would play a huge factor, but I'm going with the Athletics to sneak in and get a wild card game at the Coliseum. So, guys, we'll go to the NL East. The NL East. The Braves have clinched the division. The Cubs, they lead the NL Central but have not clinched the division yet. The NL West, the Dodgers, they have not clinched the division. I think the Rockies are just a game and a half back. And then your wild card teams. Actually, we get the matchup this week. The Brewers and the Cardinals. Guys, is this what we're going to see for October baseball?
Well, I talked about it, so I think the divisions are set, but I think the Cardinals will take the top wild card spot from the Brewers.
I hope. But I do think what we see on paper right now is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think the Rockies are going to sneak up there. Hopefully the Dodgers are left out. But I do think that the Cardinals are going to get that top wild card spot. I think they're going to... I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep the Brewers. I think they're going to take at least 2 or 3. But they could potentially sweep them. So, guys, views from the cheap seats. What are we looking forward to this week?
Drew Pomeranz is never throwing again in a Red Sox uniform.
I'm very looking forward to that, actually, in the playoffs, because he's going to be on that 25-man roster. I'm looking forward to watching both the Cardinal series this week. See how they do, see how they finish out, see if they can get in.
Yeah, I'm locked into the NL. The AL's basically set. I'm locked into the NL. There's a lot of things that can happen. And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton, and Lex,
For the Cats.
for Dippers, stay saucy.